What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Business and Biceps. And you better wake your ass up, because on today's show, how do you know that you made the right call? What do you think about that, Johnny? That's an interesting subjective topic that a lot of people wonder about.
Cory, because that's the topic, I am not going to release my answer because
Please
my
don't.
answer is what the topic is about. So I think no, listen, this is great because it's natural to second guess your decisions, and in business especially. So yeah, we got to dig into this, and we can talk about both sides of it: the conservative thinking, the aggressive thinking, and then kind of the reality of it. So yeah, I'm excited to get into it.
Yeah, this is one of those things that I look forward to, that if you and I, even though we worked together all these years, we might not just have a topic like this that we just discuss as friends or business partners, but because of the podcast, we can dig in deep in certain things like this, and this is something we haven't talked about really. So
Right.
I always look forward to those type of things. It's brought to you by square.com/go/biceps. Listen, Square has an amazing appointment platform. You could be best in class. Square has everything. Like we have so many. Square has everything. If you're not going to square.com/go/biceps, you are missing out on your business, John.
If you're starting a business and you don't include Square, you're a low IQ individual.
You're literally an idiot.
Low IQ individual.
Hey, so one of the things in the news, John, that came up was this guy from Area 51 who everybody's intrigued about is talking. Tell me about that. I know you saw it. I'd love to hear, and then I want to add my.
Well,
yeah,
yeah. So for those who don't know, Area 51 is where supposedly the U.S. government is holding the remains of flying saucers and UFOs. And there's been all kinds of conspiracies about this. It's in the Nevada desert. And a gentleman named Bob Lazar recently put out a Netflix special, and he claims to have worked there for a handful of years. And he spoke out about what he saw. He spoke out about seeing the UFOs, the flying saucers, and most of all, the technology that was so far beyond human technology that he just was so intrigued by, because he felt if we could study it as humans, that it would advance us so amazingly. But the U.S. government really has tight restrictions on it. And because he spoke out, he explained that over the past 25 years, his life has been riddled by CIA raids, FBI raids. And this is an individual who apparently the government does not want talking. So he obviously talked. It was on Netflix. And now there's a headline saying that 1 million people have signed a petition or something that they are going to storm Area 51. And to my understanding, if you get within like 5 miles of it, there are signs that say we will shoot on sight. So 1 million people want to storm Area 51 to find out if there are aliens and what they look like. But I would just put out a warning to those people.
Do not do that.
That when the government puts up a sign that says we will shoot on sight, it means they will shoot on sight. So best of luck to you guys. I'm interested, just like everybody else. I think it's fascinating. And if I were to have to place a bet based on the size of the universe, I would place a bet that other life does exist. So it's really interesting if you watch this Netflix special, Cory, because this guy, he's like, bro, I wish I didn't talk because my life has been riddled, but like, I'm just fucking telling the truth, and their technology is amazing. And he's like, if we actually let this out and spoke about it, it would be the biggest news in human history. He's like, I don't understand why they don't let us study this technology, because it could truly change the world.
You know what's so crazy is, Area 51's been around since when, John? Like the 50s?
I think the 50s, yeah.
Yeah, and
Or
which
six,
is probably the first time they found an alien, basically, is what it sounds like, and they fucking created this nutso place. But what's wild is that this guy's been talking this long, or the fact that he put out a Netflix special. I mean, you would literally have to disappear. I I would think like straight talk, like the government would just kill dudes like this. Like that's what I mean. I would
like
be scared.
I would like to think the U.S. government does not operate like other, brutal dictators and just kill their own citizens. But that could be naive thinking. You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
I'd be scared to talk, because especially what was interesting is he explained when he worked there that they would like bus you to a certain area. They would black out the windows and then they would bus you to another area. And it was so like incognito and so secretive that, it's fucking fascinating.
I just, I know that we will probably never know, but how could there not be? And wonder what the reasoning is of why it would be kept so hush hush. You know what I mean? Is it just such an astronomical difference, and so many people would be scared?
Like, think about how scared the population would be. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, if these guys have way more technology than us, and they have had that technology since like the 50s, if they wanted to declare war, first off, how would we know? Second off, the technology is way more advanced. We might have a problem.
A major problem. And so that's obviously why they keep it from us. But I can't wait to watch that documentary. And another reason why Netflix is doing as well as it is over traditional programming is they bring things like this out, and there's a ton of documentaries that can give you a lot of insight on what's going on out there. And good for them, man, for doing stuff like this. And I just want to hear this dude say, "Yeah, there's UFOs." Is that what he says?
Dude, yeah, he's interested. He was on Joe Rogan and stuff, and there were certain things he wouldn't say on the air. He's like, "I'll talk about that at dinner." I mean, like dude, there's some serious shit. Like there's some points in it where he's like, "Man, I ain't gonna talk about that." Like, period. Like, that's it.
Wow. Interesting. All right. Well, I think that's really cool, and I'm gonna absolutely check it out ASAP. One of the things that, John, I get asked a lot, and I know you probably do too, and we can dig in on this, is about how our decision-making process leads into these businesses, and how we know, or hope that we know, or think that we know, that we're making so-called the right call. And people tend to then think that as you get a few successes in a row, that you just always make the right call, which I don't believe is true. But I just, when you hear that, what first, like, kind of, what thought-provoking kind of, statements kind of happen in your head when you hear like make the right call? How do you make the right, you know what I'm saying? Because I think a lot of people think about this often, and they're extremely scared to make the wrong call.
Well, yeah, making the wrong call is, I think, what keeps people away from even making a call, right?
Yeah.
So I think when you look at things as a whole, a business, being a leader of a business, being a decision maker in a business, if you look at all your decisions, let's say if you have time, let's say the business has been in existence for 5 years, or it's a previous business you were part of, you'll look at it and you'll see a series of decisions, and some of them were really good because time proved they were good through analytics and behavior and the growth of people, and then time proved other ones were bad. So I think it's the acceptance that you have to make. You're a human being, you make mistakes, but if you have some sort of expertise or a higher level of understanding in a certain field, you need to take the time before you make the decision to really figure out what the decision is and then go forward with it, not make the decision and then second guess it afterwards. Now, you should always be able to be agile after you make the decision to maybe tweak it and this or that. But guys, you are never going to bat 1,000 on your decisions. And it's okay to accept that. but you really need to take in, and this is a theme of a lot of things I say, as everyone who listens knows, you really need to take yourself and your opinion out of it, and you have to try to find data and patterns to basically back up why you are making these decisions. And the only thing that will confirm a decision is right or wrong is time. But we all have to make so many decisions every day. Like, we have to make so many of them. And just the acceptance that we're fallible, right? Like these can be wrong, but I'm going to do the best job I can do to make the right decision. And then I'm going to be open to the fact that maybe it's not the right decision. And if certain statistics, if certain behavior, if certain whatever shows me that it's not right, I have to adjust it. And my ego can't get in the way of that, because I can't think, well, I made that decision, so if I don't fucking stick it through, well, everyone's going to think, oh, John well, fuck it. It's not about me. If John made the wrong decision, John made the wrong fucking decision. The worst thing John could do is make the wrong decision and keep following the path of the wrong decision, as opposed to change it and say, you know what? I learned that. So now I actually, after 6 months of fucking following through on the wrong decision, now I know how to make the right one, because I fucked that up for 6 months.
I want to prove your point a little bit more, Johnny. When in the past have you went against the analytics and then you were actually right? You know what I'm saying? Like, you saw, is that happen very often, where you saw the analytics were saying no, and you in your mind were like, for some reason this is a yes? Has that proved to be true very often in your, because you've been in a lot, in and out of a lot of businesses.
It hasn't proved to be true. And luckily, whenever I've put my time and my opportunity cost, money into things, I really silence everybody, including myself. And I try to look at things that are real. And obviously we're speaking in the realms of business, and numbers are real, and behavior is real, and how you influence people is real, because you can see results that are positive or negative. So I really have always made my own decisions. I hate when people try to influence me, and I've done a fairly good job at shutting that out. But I really haven't gone against the numbers too much, and I can think of almost every situation and justify it with, analytics that I would use to, essentially justify my decision. Yeah.
Those two things I think are hugely helpful for people when they're making these decisions. Is, you said two things. They're very profound. It's behavior and numbers. And if you're seeing a, less than good behavior, and you're seeing the numbers that are in a downturn, like, there's all these indicators that, maybe going against that doesn't make any sense. And I think a lot of people make calls based on just feeling or just ego, and that's how they get themselves super fucked up. And honestly, like, that is one of the biggest things that I've taken away from working with you in these last 3 years, is just taking that stuff. I've ran stuff on feel for a really long time and got away with it to some degree. But understanding when you get to certain points of business and you're incrementally growing businesses 10 points or 20 points or 7 points a month or whatever it is, like, those small decisions are extremely key month after month after month, based on analytics and numbers. And if you're not really, up in those, you really are flying blind. I mean, real fucking blind. And that's never going to ultimately work out. And that's a lot of the reason why, John, you've been in and out, sold things, made money, and consistently became, cash flow positive because of those type of actions. And I think that the other part I want to bring up is, I really view a lot of the things the same way. When I make a decision based on whatever analytics I brought in, I'm good with that decision. Now, it doesn't mean that if I screw that decision up, that I don't have the agility to make it better or change some things or whatever. But when I make a decision, I make it and I'm good. And then I just deal with what comes next. And whether that's the wrong information and I have to make it better, whether it is the right call. I think people put so much value on that wishy-washy shit, they can never really move on. And I think that's a huge indicator whether you're ready for this life or not, like you said, off air.
Yeah. What I would say is if you're making a decision that feels like a big deal to you, you must monitor that decision daily. And anybody that's involved or around that decision, you must ask them questions. You must gather data, because a decision is not proven. So if it's a big one that matters, that affects you, affects your business, affects other people, you need to gather data constantly on it. And it's just not your point of view. It has to be what other people see. Any input that anyone can give you, you have to take in. That's how you can justify if the decision is going in the right direction or the wrong direction, or if you tweak it. But when you make it, you need to fucking keep that bitch under a microscope and be open to all input from everybody.
Yeah. The other thing is too, John, is let's say you make the wrong call, to not let it devastate your entire being is super important, because we all make wrong calls from time to time, and we have to deal with those and continue on. And you can't let it crush your entire world and just throw in the towel and give up. You just got to know that that's part of the process, is that you hope with the analytics, with the gut feelings, with everything that comes into, whether it's beginning a business, deep in the business, that you hope that you make more right calls than wrong calls. But you're going to make some wrong calls like that. That is fucking part of the process. And people got to know that that's coming your way too. And that you have to be able to live with that. And some people have a really hard time with that, to think and that's where I think the entrepreneurship mentality is so important. And you're like, oh, that one kind of hurts. Okay, next. I just got to like roll out and fix some shit and go from there. And I think that's really how I look at stuff when I go into it. Like, yo, if this is the wrong call, what's the worst that can happen from it? If this is the right call, what's the positive? And honestly, sometimes I make these calls and I just know they're fucking right. I think you're the same way. You have a confidence in the decision that you're making because of the analytics, because of the market, because of what's happening. And you go with it like, I'm going to kill this. I'm decisive, and boom. And I think that is what we do in this life. And we hope we do that more than we do the other. That's part of it.
Yeah. I mean, making the wrong call is part of doing what we do, and even having any job. But here's what can't happen. Here's what will ruin a career is if you make the wrong call and it's proven to be the wrong call. It's like anything else in life. You cannot let things jade you, and you cannot let things make you gun shy. So if you make a bad call and it's on you and it's clear, that can't stop you from making future decisions. You can't be like, you can't be gun shy, because then what happens is you hold up the business, and then the business, which needs to move and adjust like every other fucking business, is not moving and adjusting because you're gun shy. You're afraid to pull that fucking trigger because last time you made a decision that proved not to be the smartest one, it didn't work out. And that's dangerous. So just accepting the fact that, dude, like I always say, like big venture capital firms, they shoot for 10%, right? 1 out of 10 if 1 out of 10 of their investments work out, they win. 1 out of 10, that means they're making 9 incorrect calls. Sure, I'm sure some firms, hit 2 out of 10, 3 out of 10, but we're talking 1 out of 10 is a win. 1 out of 10 is how they make their money. And that's just how this game is played. And it's so much, when we're talking about venture capital, we're talking about guys who are operating with a lot of money, and they're there because they've made a lot of money. So that is the definition of people who have learned to successfully remove themselves from their work and understand that if something does not work out that they thought was a good idea, it's not like this personal negative check mark on them. No, it's part of the process of what they do. So it's learning in that. Obviously, we don't want to fail. We don't want to make the fucking wrong calls. Yeah. But dude, if you're going to play the game, you have to play the game. Show me any game or fail. Hey, you shoot a shot in basketball, you miss it. That's a fail, right? Well, it's a temporary fail, right? And then you get and you keep shooting and you get warm and then you're hot again. It's the same fucking thing.
Think about like what you said about being jaded for the next time that kind of comes up in business. And the first thing that popped into my head, John, was both of us coming from other businesses with business partners and then becoming business partners. And it's like, and I remember having conversations like, yo, this is something I ran into before. And I remember, you know, us talking back and forth about like almost having like, what's like a battered wife syndrome, meaning like from the fact of like, you know, you got hurt from something before and then it's hard to go into a different relationship, and having some conversations around that type of stuff, because it's difficult to then let your guard down essentially, or to the point that you would to like let somebody in when you just had X, X, and X happen. But you got to realize that it's a whole new situation and you can only take what you learn from that situation and then apply it. But I remember trying to be as honest as I could with you early on and say, look, man, I'm fucking, you know, roughed up from this situation. And so were you too, to some degree. And then us trying to figure out how to work together, considering those past items. And so I guess my question kind of to you, John, was you've had multiple partners over the years. And it's like, have you, has that ever scared you to add another partnership? Because you've had, you know, some things that were good, some things that were bad, but you seem to like to work with people. So that means you continued, obviously you brought me in as a partner, and you've had partners before, and you'll have partners after me, I'm sure. So it's like, how do you continue to operate that way? And maybe it's communication or whatever. I'd just like to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think it's a lot like dating, right? When you're 18, you date a girl because, you know, she's hot, I'm attracted to her. And as you grow, you figure out the type of I like someone with a relaxed personality. I like someone that I can actually have conversation with, that's, you know, mentally stimulating. Someone who needs to be active all the time is not for me. Like, you learn these things. So as you're going through business and you're younger in business, at least speaking from my perspective, it was like, okay, this person wants to bring money to the table. I didn't qualify them as people. I qualified them as like fitting the bill for what the business and myself needed at the time. I did not qualify them as people. And I'll say this a fucking zillion times. If you're going to go into business with someone and you want $200,000 in capital and they have it, it doesn't fucking matter. You need to dig deeper into who they are, what their morals are, what kind of people they are, because dude, that money could become the worst thing you ever took, because what it did is it tied you to somebody that's potentially toxic. And I just think through situations with different partners, you learn what you need. And what I need is good people, number one. And then obviously we need to complement each other. But the people comes before the money and what we can do together, because all that stuff doesn't matter and it won't work if the quality of the person isn't there.
Yeah, I think that's awesome, John. And I think that would be really, really helpful for people to hear, because you've had a lot of experience in this. And I think, man, you know, if I think about my other partner and think about the things that we've done together, I always knew that I needed somebody that was more aggressive. I'm just not a super aggressive person, right? And so the good person part I got with you and not so much with the other guy. So it's like, it's one of those things where I knew that I needed someone that was more aggressive, that, that actually was a team player. I didn't realize what that really meant because I didn't have that before. I thought I did, but I didn't until now. And compliments the things that I'm, like you said, that I'm not good at, or maybe I can get better at through working with guys like yourself, John. And it was a tricky process for me, coming out of an 8 or 10 year essential business relationship where I was pissed and upset about certain things, to coming into a business relationship and to make the right call, which I obviously have shown that it is the right call to take on another partner. I was extremely nervous about it. No kidding. And I think there was a point, remember, where I almost didn't become your business partner.
Correct.
And that was a 48-hour thing where, I mean, I remember it plain as day because I was just like, I was like, fuck, I just don't know if I want to do this again. It had nothing really to do with John per se. It was more about just the situation I came from. And because there was certain parts of the aggressive personality that John represented that were similar. What I didn't understand is all the amazing other stuff that I didn't know about John, you know what I'm saying, until I worked with him. And so that initial thing, I'll be honest, it kind of frightened me to end up in a similar situation. And I was honest with John, and John did a great job of fucking like basically without really not selling himself, because he really wasn't selling me. I mean, we were complimenting each other, but he was just trying to like say, look,
I felt like I was trying to calm down my wife at the point. I was like, hey man. So we have all these plans, bro. Yeah. And I we put everything in place. Nothing happened. And I understand that this is new, and I understand that like these feelings, but like this is not the other situation. And then, I just did what I always tell people to do. It's like, all right, well, just think about it. Like, just you take your time and you fucking think about it. And if it is what it is what it is. But like, just realize, like, when nothing, I think that's when our emotions get the best of us, right? When nothing happens, and then we create something. That's when we need to kind of put our finger on it and say, okay, what's going on? Is something from the outside creeping in,
And I was, a victim of it for sure. I let it creep in, and obviously I made the right call by going through with the partnership. But that's just like an honest like thing that hit me, and I've progressed so much since then from a business standpoint, that I had a ton of growth coming out of what I was doing at MP. And it's like that's real shit, guys. And you're listening to it. John and I really have only probably talked about this like one other time, but that was like a fucking stressful thing for me. And it came out of nowhere again, essentially against John. He was like, where the fuck is this coming from? But that was, I let the doubt creep in from a previous situation, and it almost got me. And honestly, if I wouldn't have became his business partner, my business would not be near as fucking good as it is. Not even in the fucking ballpark. The opportunities and the things that we've done in this short amount of time is fucking gangbusters, and I'm super proud of it. And we've both gotten a lot better through this platform, through working with each other on a regular basis, and it was the right call. But so I think that people run into that crossroads though, John, and you got to decipher: am I being a bitch on emotions, or am I actually taking this in to consideration on what's possible from a number standpoint? And that right there, I think it was one of the best, like, honest, kind of situations I could come up with for this topic.
Yeah. I mean, listen, guys, you're never going to know if you make the right call when you make the call, but it's crucial that you're not afraid to make calls, because if you don't make calls, you're putting yourself in quicksand. You know what? Nobody else. You may think other people are because they did this in the past or whatever. It's all bullshit. You are putting yourself in quicksand. So making the right call can only be seen in due time. And you must learn to be patient, and you must learn to accept that, because that's just fucking how it is.
Well, and really, John, success is ultimately just a bunch of decisions on top of each other for a compounded period of time. That's really your outcome is based on all the decisions you make each day, from habits to business decisions. So really, when you're looking at somebody's body of work, they've ran into this multiple times and have probably made the right call over the wrong call, or even when they made the wrong call, not letting it hinder the next call. And that is really what it comes down to. When you're an entrepreneur, you're making a bunch of decisions based on risk and time and money and all these things. And the outcome is what it is. It's the scorebook.
Yeah. I mean, what is a great CEO? What do they don't work with their hands, right?
True.
They don't build things physically. They sit in an office, and that's why a lot of people have disdain for them, right? They look at them as like, oh, he sits in the corner office, he did it. They're making decisions every day that impact their 10 employees, their 100 employees, their 1,000 employees, their fucking 100,000 employees. But they are successful decision makers who are methodical and they're there, and they're great CEOs. I'm talking Fortune 500 CEOs because they know how to engage their decisions. They know how to gauge risk. They know how to gauge time, and they know how to gauge labor, and they make decisions consistently well. That's really all a great CEO is. Someone who can make good decisions consistently.
So the key would be, John, is we've talked about this before, a lot of businessmen, which would be CEOs or CFOs, are decision making, but then don't have the creative side a lot of times, not all the time. So It's like having the creative side of things with the decision making on top of it is really where a lot of people struggle. Because me and you both know a ton of extremely talented people that can't make any money.
Absolutely, they're everywhere.
I mean,
they're
right?
Everywhere.
They're fucking
everywhere.
They're fucking everywhere.
Yeah.
And I know, and it comes down to being able to have that right amount of decision making at the proper timing, and seeing opportunities or making opportunities when there's a little window. And really, those are the extreme differences between where you're at now and maybe where you want to be. And I don't know if people take it as serious as it truly is. And that's why even small to large decisions are that impactful on your business. I mean, dude, I always, it's crazy to me. I see people that are just lights out creative, great personalities, broke as fuck.
Right.
Broke as fuck.
They never made the decision to fucking create a business model.
Exactly. Right. And so that's why, like, if you're listening to us right now and you're like, motherfucker, I'm good at what I do. I know it. I see the results, but I need to take time with this portion of it, because me and John don't make 100% fucking right decisions all the time. But I look at when I'm done with this shit one day, I hope I just made, way more better decisions than shitty decisions. And that could equal, with that daily habits, wealth for my family. And that is the fucking, that, and just a lifestyle of what I've always wanted, so it's really, it sounds kind of simplistic, John, but I mean,
well, I think it's the acceptance of what you just said. It's the acceptance of, I hopefully will make more good decisions than bad decisions. The bad decisions, let's hope, are the ones that do not have a large price tag connected to them. So when we feel like we're making aggressive decisions, we should keep in mind that those aggressive decisions should be coupled with low risk, right? Because then you can make aggressive decisions. Because if you get it fucking wrong, well, there's not too much money tied to it. There's not too much human capital tied to it. It's just, okay, we fucked up. So, if you don't make any decisions, you're not going to change your lifestyle and your wealth, like Cory was talking to. But guys, you have to understand, you have to make decisions, and those decisions have to come from you. Stop fucking hearing other people's voices in your head. Stop that. Make the decisions based on what you know, what you've seen, and the data you have in front of you.
Yeah, and stop the ego decision making too. I think that was something you said earlier, John, that I never came back around to, but making decisions based on ego and not analytics is a massive problem, I think, for a lot of people, because
it's being the guy. I call it the guy. Oh, you're the fucking guy. Oh, that people have if I make this decision, everyone's going to see me in a Beamer with my sunglasses on, with the top down. They're going to know I do this. They're going to know I do that. It's like this fantasy of I'm the guy or I'm the gal. And I'll say this over and over, everyone I've met that wants to be the guy
Ain't
never
the fucking
becomes
guy.
the guy. Everybody who wants to be really good at shit becomes the guy, but they don't want to be the guy. So they don't roll like a fucking dipshit fucking loser. You know what I'm saying? But if you have that fantasy in your head of, oh, if I do this, I'm gonna be the fucking guy. You're gonna be fucking driving a '93 Honda Escort and wondering what happened. You know?
Great car, by the way. Great
Yeah.
car.
If you drive one of those, it's fine. But I'm just saying.
It's almost like, if you really think about it, it's like the guy who tries too hard or the guy who tries too hard. It's really the same kind of thing.
Doing it for the wrong reasons.
Doing it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, I mean, you're doing it so people notice you. Like, think about all the business fucking shit we've done, and none of it is so anyone notices me. It's so I can fucking literally. It's so I can challenge myself, and I can wake up every day and feel alive and test what I got. It's not about anybody else. It's about fulfilling what's inside of me. And if, like, for a minute I thought like, oh, I'm going to pick up this car or buy this house so people know. No, then I'm losing what makes me me. And what makes me me is my ability to challenge myself. And that's how at least I've gotten results. I can only speak for myself.
Yeah. No, I think it's great. There's a lifter I used to work out with a while back, and he used to say, like, I used to put this, like Westside Barbell on this huge pedestal, or you put anything like this, or the certain car or certain house on these huge pedestals. And he used to always tell me, he's like, it's just a gym, dude. It's just a car. It's just a this. It's just a that. And if you start to take those things down and you don't put this crazy value, because certain items that I've accomplished in my life, people, when they try to talk to me about them, they feel that way. And I try to keep that same concept. Like, it's just fucking got a motor in it, bro. Like if you just, those are things that maybe I wanted or aspired to have, but it was really for me. It wasn't really for anybody else. It was the keep pushing an excellence that I wanted for myself. And that was part of it, amongst other things. And that is like one of the things that you can't get super caught up in. But that's part of the time we live in right now. But Johnny, I like this topic a lot, because I think decision making and being confident in your decision, and I think you're the way that you talk about analytics, like, this can help our listeners absolutely right now make proper decisions on top of proper decisions, and then maybe one bad decision, then 5 more good decisions, and they can get more success. And that's what we do here at Business and Biceps, and I'm fucking proud of that, bro. And that's why I love topics like this, because they ain't learning this shit nowhere else, homie. Straight up.
Absolutely. We give what we can. It may not be the best, but I think it's pretty damn good.
Pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to wrap it up. Hey, it's brought to you by Square, John. We love Square because we use Square. You should use Square. If you don't, you should go to square.com/go/biceps, because the ecosystem is unreal. They literally have so many different ways to help your business. It's like you're probably not even aware of like half of them. We weren't until we started learning more about them and working with them.
And their like interfaces are so business friendly. We talk about analytics all the time. They're so analytic friendly, and one thing ties to the next. I truly enjoy their platform. So if you have a business, get involved with Square.
Yeah, I literally log in and look at them every day, as do you, with the analytics. Go to square.com/go/biceps today. And without further ado, Johnny Fosco!
G!
Can the podcast be stopped?
The podcast can't be stopped!